This podcast is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The content shared is not a substitute for professional medical, mental health, legal, or financial advice. Please consult a qualified professional for personalized guidance or treatment. By listening, you acknowledge that the hosts and guests are not responsible for any decisions or actions you take based on this content.
Feel like a grouch, go beyond the couch. Share your confessions on the Aurora Sessions.
Hello, Aurora Healing Crew. Welcome to the Aurora Sessions Beyond the Couch, where we take the stressors that come up in session and bring them into conversation beyond the couch. This is the space where real talk meets real life. Hi, everyone. This is Teresa here, the founder of Aurora Sun Counseling, a group private practice providing psychotherapy for clients in New Jersey, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. Today, we have a special guest. Her name is Rose. Hi, Rose.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us today. Rose is, I'm just going to introduce her first and then throw it to her if she wants to add anything. Rose Fedechko, LAC. Did I say that right?
Fedechko, but it's okay.
I don't know if you've listened to my other episode, but I've needed correcting. So Fedechko. So everything is sounded out like it's spelled. So Fedechko. LAC. So she came to Aurora recently. When did you start? September. Oh my gosh, that's super. Oh, that's right. September. A whirlwind. Yes. And we were so excited. She was a friend reached out and asked if I was hiring, and I was like, not really, but I'm willing to talk to whoever it is that you want, who you think would be a good fit for Aurora. And now we have Rose. And so Rose is a licensed associate counselor in the state of New Jersey, very close to her LPC. She's almost done. When are you going to be done?
Should be this month or next month.
Yay! So soon to be LPC, and she has her master's in clinical mental health counseling from Wilmington University and a bachelor's in psychology from the Citadel, the Military College of South Carolina. Interesting. So you went back there on your vacation recently.
Yes. We
That's
go every year.
Oh, that's so cool. So I found that little fact, I've never met I've heard of the Citadel, but I've never known anybody to actually go. So that was really interesting to me when I saw your resume. And she also, this is not her first career. She holds a license for occupational therapy assistant, specializing in sensory integration across the lifespan. She's also a U.S. Army veteran, a former captain who served in Operation Iraq Freedom, and she brings a deep understanding of trauma, resilience, and the importance of individualized care. So she's also ADHD certified. ADHD certified clinical service provider, which means that she can do assessments to diagnose clients who need the diagnosis, whether it's for school or work, with ADHD. And she also has specialized training in attention, executive functioning, and neurodivergent care. All things that are so important, especially as we learn more about neurodivergent brain and ADHD. And also, along with that, she helps children, teens, and adults navigate anxiety, depression, personality disorders, and sensory processing. And she's also been she's also been over the last 6 years supporting elementary and secondary school students in their sensory system, and also worked in skilled nursing and rehabilitating settings to promote functional and emotional well-being. Pretty much Rose has done anything in healthcare soon you'll be doing, like, neural surgery,
Right.
brain surgery. But, okay. And I just want to add, she also does couples counseling because not a lot of people do couples, and she also does these things and, couples counseling, which is great. So, with that being said, Rose, um with all of that, the reason why I wanted you to come on this podcast is tomorrow's Veterans Day.
Uh-huh.
And we, as our one of the specialties that Aurora uh, helps, one of the niches is first responders and veterans. We have a few people on staff, Courtney, who works with the veterans, and also Michelle has also worked with veteran grants as well. And with you not only working with them, but having been a vet, I wanted to ask you so many different questions about what things we should keep in mind when we're helping. What's the difference with clients who have been um, on the front lines, but, so many different things. Um, Also, thank you for your service. I
Thank
just
you.
always, have such respect, even though I volunteer, it's not something that I like, look forward or excited to do, if I'm to be honest. So to give up, like, time in my life for years and live someplace else and to, um, fight for your country is so honorable. So, and to keep us safe. So welcome and thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Is there anything
That
you
was a
wanted to add to that introduction? I know.
No, I
I'm
think you covered that and
sorry. Okay. So I'll just start with the first question and see where it takes us.
Okay.
Um, can you share a little bit about your journey serving the United States Army to becoming a therapist? I know that's like a loaded question, but if you could share a little bit about the journey.
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned before, I went to the Citadel, the military college of South Carolina. And it all started there. I think when I was in high school, that's when 9/11 happened.
Mhm.
And I just was kind of like curious about it all. I think I told you that before. You're like, what? A
Mhm.
lot of people don't go that far for
Yes,
curiosity.
correct.
Um, but also I liked the structure, but it also kind of was like freeing because it was my choice. I wanted, to travel and do the
Yeah.
things, and it's nice that they have education benefits,
Yes.
right? Too, for
Yes.
serving. So I went to Citadel and I I did thrive there. I love it. Charleston, South Carolina. Anybody should go visit. It's a beautiful place.
My niece
Even at
is
a
there at the College of
yes,
Charleston? Yes.
yes, yeah.
Wow.
Everything's beautiful there. Even if you
It's
go to a
really great.
military college that just wears all boring gray, it's
And we
still
have a wedding to go to for another niece next November. Actually, probably when you're going, we should carpool. And, during that week, we're going. So that will be my first time to see Charleston, so that's
no,
great.
you'll love it and
Yeah.
never want to leave. That's what I tell everybody. I'm like, never want to leave. So, I mean, I had a lot of great leadership
Mhm.
and people that I met there, and I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's join the military. And there really wasn't any rhyme or reason other than I did come from a military family.
Mhm.
Um, And I didn't wanna go in the Navy like my dad and my brother and my uncle. I was like, "You know what? I'm going Army because 'cause we're better."
Mhm.
Um,
That's so
but
funny.
and I was gonna be the only officer, and I was the only female in my family to go. So it just really taught me a lot about discipline at the Citadel, and then I was like, "Okay." But then I met my husband down there as well,
Oh, wow.
and I at the time of like right before graduating, I was like, oh, I want to do occupational therapy. I met a good mentor at the Medical University of South Carolina down there. Um, another amazing school,
Yes.
and I was like, "You know what? I wanna move up" by my boyfriend at the time, now my husband, to New Jersey, and it was really funny, like, everyone's like, "Why would you move from South Carolina to New Jersey?"
Correct. Why would
And
anybody move to New Jersey?
I question myself now. South Jersey is also very beautiful, not the same as
Mhm.
Charleston, um, and I was like, "Okay, let's do that," and then I had Army training. So I graduated May. I had
Okay.
Army training by June, and it was really
Okay.
funny because one of the people that I had training with was also going to be in my unit in New Jersey, and he was like, "You know, we're getting deployed when we get home." I was like, "Wait, what? What?" Like, I'm just here for, because I was going to be a medical supply officer. I was like,
Right.
"But no, there's no way we're getting deployed. We just graduated." Like,
Right.
I'm like 20
Wouldn't they
something years
right.
old.
Wouldn't they want someone more experienced?
Right. That was my exact thought. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm just sitting over here living life. And then we went, um, so my training was at Fort Benning, and then I went to San Antonio in Texas for my
Wow.
medical training. And my same friend from there also trained with me there. And he was like adamant. And I'm like, how are you so put together? Like, how, what is this? Like, okay. So sure enough, we finish in October and we get back home. Deployment orders come out, and they're like, well, you're no longer medical service officers, you're going to be military police officers. And you're like, okay, shock number two. I was like, I
Yeah.
never wanted to be that,
An
but
officer. Yeah.
okay. Um, I never thought of myself as like being a police officer or like detaining someone or anything. So then we had to go back to training to train for riots, for prisons, you name it. And again, like I said, I was like one of the only female officers even when I deployed.
Yeah.
I it was nice and bad at the same time because any kind of female issue, whether that be detainees or that be female soldiers that were, lower enlisted, whatever issue came up, it was like put on to me. And
Mhm.
we were attached out like we were problem children, most of the females. And we were attached to like a whole unit. We didn't really know. So there was a lot of issues in house.
Right.
So I think that started my journey of being like, maybe maybe we got something here about mental health and like what
Okay. Yeah.
kind of goes with that. I mean, I was leaning more towards, like I said, the occupational therapy and
Right. So what do you
um
mean by that? So you were when you became a military officer,
mhm,
what happened that you they give you the female detainees
like yeah. Go
and
ahead.
so what did you what made you like start being curious about providing mental health care?
Well, there was it was just how things were put upon you, right? And then there was
Oh, gotcha.
no
Gotcha. Yeah.
backing it up. Like there like there
Right.
is. They have a lot of PowerPoints and debriefings. The
Right.
military is very organized.
Like
Like,
therapeutic support to help you with the
yes,
process of
proper.
being an officer and
Yeah. And
the
taking
amount.
care of
Yes,
hundreds of people and detainees. So
got
it's
it.
like
So through
that
your own
are
experience, you were like, "Okay, is anybody gonna talk to me about what I just saw?"
yeah,
Like, is anybody I remember like, totally not the same, but sometimes when you're by yourself, you're like, "Is anybody else here saying the same thing?" Like, "Why
right.
where is anybody when I need someone to talk to?" So, like, stuff like that.
No,
Yeah.
precisely. So when I was deployed, it's a funny story now, but not so funny when it happened. So I what actually had electric shock. So this is where I learned the difference between electric shock and
Mhm.
electrocution. So apparently, electrocution means you die from it. I
Yes.
did not
Okay.
know, right?
Okay.
So, electric shock, I condemned a building while I was in Iraq. I
Okay.
went to go out of we had like this little office space that was a building that was built not by us. It was like a building that was already there. And I come out and I it's electric lock on the door and I put my hand on the wall. And then everything was like slow mo after
Oh
that.
my
And I couldn't
gosh.
release my handle, like my hand from the handle. One of my sergeants, I'm laughing now, came over and like kicked me off the door with the
Right.
boot. And, my fingers were bleeding and I was like, like exhilarated. I was like, what? This goes into, we'll say, shock therapy or something like that. It does work.
Re-stimulated some
So
neurons. Yeah.
I was like, all of us were shocked, needless to say, that that just happened. And I'm like, alive. And so then I go to, the infirmary or whatever, the base medical people. And this man, to not to be named, was like, "You did not get electrocuted." And I was like, "Okay." And then I showed him, my hands bleeding from where it, like, I guess, hooked on like a part. And he's like, "That doesn't look like, somebody who was electrocuted." And I'm like, "Okay, I have several witnesses and whatever, and the whole building shut down." But cool. So then again, it was like I'm like, why are they not being supportive of what happened?
Right.
Even if it was like exaggerated,
Right.
it's like
Right.
it happened. Like, why are you so quick to dismiss
Right.
someone else's
Yeah.
story?
Right.
Like, I was, annoyed. And then I stayed, but you know what? The 2 weeks after that happened, I think I was the happiest I've ever been in
That is
my life.
okay. You're right. Now it's funny, but oh my gosh, that's so scary. So I guess like through your experiences and what would have helped you at the time, with mental health
Mhm,
support or just support and counseling
just
or
support, yeah.
yeah, peer support, group support, anything
Mhm,
would have been helpful to help you do your job better.
yes,
And I think
better.
that's what us in the mental health field do talk about is wouldn't you want like let's say police officers who put their lives on the line
Mhm,
every day see so much traumatic things, so many traumatic things to be well, right? To be well so they could do it more and want to return and want
mhm.
to feel safe. So, yeah.
To be able to unload your story
Yes,
without, like,
exactly.
repercussions
Yes.
or
So, um, I mean, I could take this any way, this these questions, but let's just stick to the script before I go rogue. Okay. So, um, okay. So, what are some lessons from your military service that you carry into your work with your clients today?
Mhm. That's a that's a good one. I mean, I feel like everyone has a story to tell. Even when I, was working with, like, local nationals, everyone,
Mhm.
they get a bad rap, especially when 9/11 happened. They're like,
Mhm.
and to me, when I went overseas, I never experienced any kind of negativity from local nationals,
Mhm.
Iraqis, like, tried the local food and, were very well taken care of. Um, to me, I take that into each of my sessions and just remind myself that everyone has their own perception, their own
Mhm.
story to tell. And if they're seeking help, then
Mhm.
listen.
Yeah.
They're being brave enough
Yes.
to say it, and that's already hard enough. That's like the
Yes.
first battle, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great point. Um, you know how we opened our first in-person office and,
Mhm.
we're talking about safety and everything, and I said over the weekend, it's not really the people who are coming in that I'm worried about
Mhm.
as far as safety, it's the people who aren't getting help that we need
Yeah.
to be more worried about. So, um, and I love that everybody has a story to tell because, and learning about all different perspectives because that's so important as a therapist to I remember seeing this video of this black therapist who he had a white therapist as a kid and so his question was can a white therapist help someone who's black and he said well a white therapist when I was a young man helped me. And it was
Mhm.
because she was able to see me as a whole person. And even though she didn't understand what I go through, what I've been through, she was willing to learn. So
Yeah.
even when we don't have same views, because we do have to step outside of ourselves as
Mhm.
a therapist, it's seeing the person as a whole person, where their point of view comes from. So,
And not personalizing it,
yes.
I feel like that's a whole other level too.
Yeah.
It's so easy to personalize.
Yeah. Wow. So, geez, like, that is, like, seriously the epitome of, like, art imitating life, I feel. Like, you told like, wearing a US Army, right? You are the enemy in the national land where you're
Mhm.
detaining people, and the people who you're detaining are supposed to be the enemy, but yet you you were able and see another point of view of where they're coming from and that it's not just so like black and white and there's
It
gray
isn't.
areas.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
never is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And so tomorrow, and I'm hoping if I get all my ducks in a row, this will be broadcasted tomorrow, go live tomorrow, is Veterans Day. So that would be today, hopefully, when people hear this podcast. Um, what does Veterans Day mean to you personally, now as a veteran, but also as a therapist?
Oh, you know, it that's a hard thing because you sometimes and you'll ask most military members, they don't like to be recognized. Like, yeah,
Mhm,
okay, get an award. Okay, pat yourself on the back, you know. But usually it's like one of I mean, it's a nice day. You get some discounts on stuff and that's nice.
mhm,
But to me, it's always been one of those awkward type
mhm,
days. Like, I'm super proud of what I've done and
mhm.
what my fellow friends and soldiers have done in the
Yeah,
military.
yeah,
But at the same time, it's like when you were saying thank you at the beginning, it's like,
mhm.
how do you respond to
Yeah,
that?
I
Like, you
know.
have a whole day of recognition and you're like, did what we do, was that a big deal? Yes, of course it's a big deal, but like, you're kind of like in a back seat
Yeah.
from it, or I don't know how to explain the word, but it's it's strange to be on the other end and
Mhm.
being like, "Thank you," and then ex people giving thanks, but then you
Yeah.
have the other end of it too, that people get mad as well, like, for military members or service members, police officers, you have, like, both
Yeah.
ends
Both
of it, and you're
sides of
like
it. Yeah, you're right. I
so
didn't really
it's
think about that because I'm just thinking everybody's thankful for it, but yeah, no, you're right because especially I guess when I'm thinking about like the '70s, let's say, when there's like
Mhm,
during the Vietnam War where people weren't really understanding why their children were dying, right, in another country for
mhm,
a cause and um even soldiers coming back,
mhm.
not understanding. So I could see that for sure. So personally, what do I do because I remember the kids when they were learning all about veterans during school, and, when you have the zero control over what comes out of children's mouth as a they would say, which is I just thought was fine, but, "Thank you for your service," when they see
Mhm.
someone in fatigues or someone or something in their uniform. So do we just say it? Do we not say it? Is everybody different? Will people get
No,
mad
I
at
think
me? I
saying
cannot
it's
deal with people getting mad. I'm
nice.
kidding.
No, but it's like, what is my response to it? Usually I
Mm,
say, "Oh, thank you." And you're saying, "Thank you for a thank you." I can't say, "You're welcome." That's like,
why
I don't
not?
know, sounds weird. Like, it's kinda, like, arrogant, like, "You're welcome for your" I don't know.
No,
It
I
just
mean,
sounds
that's a really good question. We will put that out there. If people can comment, other military people, what are some things that you say in response to "Thank you for your service"?
Mhm.
Um, but also as a therapist, Rose, I'm also thinking it has to do with, not feeling worthy of,
Mm.
like, the things, like, I didn't do any like, humility to the
Yeah.
extreme. Yeah, that, that, like, I didn't do it for the thanks or the recognition, I was just doing my job, um actually, I didn't really do that much at all. There's other people
Mhm.
who, like, actually died, but yeah. But I think
All of that, yeah.
what would you say to a client who can't receive thanks for things?
Oh. Mm.
A little supervision here.
Take the compliment. No. Well, and that's I've gotten a lot better than when I first came
Mhm.
back from deployment about
Mm,
it.
mhm,
I was kind of very avoidant of all things
mm,
military. But the more I've grown and the more I've, researched mental health is like
mhm,
what we were actually seeking, most of us, was like that connection, that support,
mhm,
and the validation that, hey, you put your life on the line for whatever reason
mhm,
the mission was, right?
mhm.
And because there's, various things. And then that should be something to be thanked for,
Yes.
or, because not everybody chooses that. But it's
Nope.
definitely a conflicting thing, because when you come back and you are, struggling, those with like PTSD or like
Mhm,
extra anxiety, and when you're deployed, you're always on, right? You're like,
mhm,
there's
mhm.
no days off. Yes, there's downtime, but you're still in a combat zone.
Correct.
Um, so when you come back home, you're like, do I take the things that's extra attention? I'm still trying to process what happened, various
Yeah.
things happen. And then so you're like, not generalizing my whole population of
Yes,
military veterans,
right.
but it's confusing,
Yeah, yeah.
and it does take some time to be like, okay, I'll
To readjust.
accept
Yeah, right.
yes. Mhm.
Yeah. So much to think about. And so transitioning to um what therapists should know about working with veterans. What do you
Mhm.
think is like the most important thing for a therapist to know? Just like not everybody should do trauma
Mhm.
counseling unless you're trained because it's like you don't want to re-traumatize or damage somebody or hurt someone. You really have to know what you're doing. So what do you think is different between like let's say childhood abuse or something versus combat? Um
Oh,
like, what different interventions would you tell one day your supervisee to look, for or to do?
that's an interesting question. Yeah, I mean, well, because what? Uh That's the difference between, maybe if they have the diagnosis of PTSD acute and chronic, right?
Mhm,
Um, so my own personal experience of therapists on my end as a
mhm,
veteran
mhm,
going, I had one, and sometimes you can do more harm. And it's like and that's why I think I stuck with the hearing people's stories
Mhm.
without trying to tell them what their story is. And
Mm.
I think a lot of times us as therapists want to solve a
Mhm.
problem
Mhm.
versus just being,
Mhm.
with them. Because that is what a veteran, and even if you had child abuse, you want someone to hear your story and
Yeah.
just be with it. Like,
Mhm.
you can't fix it.
Right.
It's happened. Interventions, I mean, I think integrative approaches, for military members or, like I said, veterans, I don't know. I feel for me, it's not so simple as, because usually veterans and childhood trauma kind of go hand in hand,
Yeah,
right? So you
right,
have to
right.
come, not, again, I'm generalizing them,
Yeah.
see? Doing that. But, it's, if you could do a, I don't wanna be cliche, like a person-centered approach,
Not cliche.
um, or just ask them
Yeah.
what they wanna do. Because I have a lot of, um, police officers
Mhm.
and, veterans too, and also have the other end with the childhood trauma and stuff, and, like, sometimes with the veterans, it's, like, more straightforward, like, it takes a little while to unpeel the
Mhm.
onion
Mhm.
of emotions,
Right.
right? Because 'Cause you're so desensitized. So there could be some trauma-focused
Right.
work there, but then other times it's like that resistance to it,
Yeah.
right? You're so used to not feeling and not you don't know how to feel that
Right.
emotion. Um, and then when you do feel it, you may become angry at certain words, or certain approaches, may be different, or maybe the therapist themselves presents
Right.
as someone who's invalidated that
Right.
story, right?
I think that
Um,
that's a good tip. Like, just even as therapists, like,
mhm.
we're so quick to not all of us, but, like, I know I don't like silence.
Right?
I don't do well with silence. So, so I try to, like, not fill in the blanks, but I
Mhm,
could do better at just listening and letting them tell their story without trying to
mhm,
ask them to reframe something or, um because sometimes reframing something can feel like gaslighting
mhm,
if we're not careful. Like, "Was it
mhm.
really that painful?" Like, not that we would say that, but,
Well, so when I got
yeah,
back, that's what I was
yeah,
saying, I had a therapist,
yeah,
that said to me, "I don't think you have PTSD, I think you just have anxiety." And to me, that struck me. I was like, "How this?" I It was like our first session meeting, and I was just like, "That's I'm never coming back, number 1." And I'm, like, hysterical, walk out,
right?
and, like, there was no cool down from all the emotions
Oh,
that just
jeez.
came
Yeah.
up, and then hearing that on top of it, it's like you said, it's like a little bit of gaslighting, like, "Okay,
Mhm.
maybe I'm not supposed to feel that way about it's just anxiety," like, how, like, some of us women, like, you're feeling off,
Yeah.
it's just
Oh,
anxiety, like,
jeez.
calm down.
Hysterical. It's because you have a uterus.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we have to, as therapists, be very, like, obviously, you wanna be a real person and you have
Mhm.
real reactions, but, like, be very mindful of the
Mhm.
words we're using
Yeah.
for people that have trauma, right?
So, here's a good question. How can a therapist like yourself, who has had combat experience, balance empathy with boundaries when working with clients who have experienced combat and service-related trauma? I mean,
To bal
it's a good question, but very similar to anybody who's, let's say, been a victim of abuse, treating somebody with a
Mhm.
victim of abuse, right? The answer is similar, but what is your answer to that? So so, like, if something comes up, like, with somebody, who's been through combat, um what is your rule of thumb with your sharing? And this is not a job interview about boundaries. I know we
I
asked you
know.
that. You already have the job. So, like, as Rose, a person, how do you, balance that? Because you are
Balance the
human.
boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I've always even in my grad program, I guess I struggle to being that, like, in
Mhm.
the box, like, not
Mhm.
being myself, um, not knocking it, but it is hard to have boundaries when you can understand and
Mhm.
relate to a
Mhm.
story, but it's remembering first and foremost that that is their story
Mhm.
and that is where you put the boundary. Like you can feel and you can be real and
Mhm.
empathetic towards somebody like that, but that's where you draw the line, right?
Mhm.
Um, you do. You obviously we wouldn't be therapists if we didn't want to help or like,
Mhm.
but they're here for us to have that professional knowledge
Mhm.
and maybe relate, but at the end of the day, they don't really care if you relate
Right.
or not. I
They
mean,
don't.
sometimes we do, but
Right. Right, like, n maybe geography or certain missions or certain things,
Mhm,
like, um, but also they're not trying to get a one-upper, right? We don't need
mhm,
a that
no,
I think those are, like, therapists who don't have good supervision or maybe still need some healing, like, when
mhm,
there's a one-upper therapist, because that's obviously not okay.
yeah,
Or the difference of going to, like, a support group versus an sorry,
yes,
I'm like AA, but, or to, a therapist. And that's
yeah.
what's the difference between a master level therapist who has training in PTSD, treating people with PTSD.
So, and also I always tell like my clients in particular, like if I don't know something,
Mhm.
I will research to the max capacity. Like if I feel a client needs EMDR, because that can
Mhm.
be very helpful
Mhm.
for PTSD, for
Mhm.
trauma, to
Right.
like any of that. And I think that it would benefit them. I would guide them that way. Or if I think that someone else, if they feel they're presenting like they want somebody that
Mhm.
relates to them, like I will make sure that they, if they're not getting it from me, that
Mhm.
I can refer them to someone that's and that they're not alone. I think that's the baseline is like just because you may not vibe with me or vibed with another therapist
Yeah.
doesn't mean that there's not someone out there
Right.
that you would feel comfortable.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
It's like at the end of the day, I just want you to get help. If it's not
Mhm.
me, it's okay because I'm not for everybody and not every client's for
Mhm.
me. Um, we'll all be okay. We just want you to get help. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like how you mentioned support groups too, which again, those are not for everybody, but some
Mhm.
people thrive with them. And it is nice when you have other veterans and you can kind of like relate through that and you're like,
Mhm.
okay. But then it's like you have to check in with yourself about those boundaries and you can
Yeah.
share. So I don't have a problem disclosing certain things,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to disclose the first 2, 3, 4 sessions to a
Right.
client.
Right.
You're just getting to know them
Yeah.
and, but if it's like somebody that, that I have like if we both went to Iraqi Freedom, the
Right.
operation,
Or I
it's
mean,
like
it's in your bio, right? So if somebody like, you know
right.
what? I want Rose because she knows
Mhm.
exactly what I went through. And
Right.
she's a therapist, so maybe she
Mhm.
could just like people who pick me because I'm
Mhm.
Asian, and they could explain, like, dynamics without going into every single detail. So
Right.
that's,
Yeah.
um so what, while you were talking, I was also thinking, what for people okay, I was thinking a few things. One, when you said support groups, I was thinking about those VA lodges, right? And,
Mhm.
I think that's what they're called, like, where there's a hall and there's a
Mhm.
bar, and usually it's like and I'm maybe stereotyping, but it's true, I think, men, Men hang
Mhm.
out there. I don't really see many women going in. Do you think that there should be more women, like, specific support for military? Are there, like, places like that to socialize or
I do think there is a place to be had for women. I do think the help in general for like the VA and stuff is difficult to come by, but it's especially difficult for women, and they've gotten better. They've come a long way. Um, like they have stuff at in Wilmington for I don't even remember what the group, but it's like military sexual trauma.
Oh, yeah.
They have for women and men, I think, but mostly women go to that. But they have like little groups like that. But again, it's sometimes when it's the whole story perspective, right? Because we're treated, or at the time when I was in, that we were like these bad eggs that we had to be transferred out, even before we were a problem.
Mhm.
That's the thing, and I think that's pretty common, although, like I said, it's gotten better. I do think there should be a place for women because there is that stigma of, "Oh, well, you weren't actually in combat," or and it's like, "Well, we still were military police officers, some
Correct.
of the
Were
women."
you holding a gun, walking back and forth, making sure, like, being ready to
Right.
shoot if somebody escapes or something? Like, I think that's
Yeah.
combat.
Right, right,
I
or
mean, it's
just
not
even
like
being away from home in a red
right,
zone where mortars
right,
come in
right.
and everything.
I think
Yeah, no, I definitely think.
the movies and so many movies about Vietnam, like, people
Mhm.
are thinking, like, it's only combat, it's like guerrilla warfare or something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
no. Not especially not with AI technology and missiles these days, right?
Mhm.
Like, there's so
Right.
many and nuclear weapons. There's, like now we're just setting off all these different, like, things on the radio radar, but,
Right.
uh, but,
Winning.
yeah. So, what message and I'm gonna wind down the 2 questions, so this second to last question. For the people who, are in the military, who are afraid to go get therapy because they don't want to be seen as a bad egg and shipped off, or why can't you just be tougher? Why can't you just suck it up and,
Mhm.
keep it to yourself, don't complain, all those things. What message would you want them to have?
I'm just keep searching really because we have so many, of our brothers and sisters that are committing suicide or,
Mhm.
coping through other means.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we have to remember what we signed up to do. And if we're not taking care of ourselves, not getting the help,
Mhm.
then it's kind of for what? Like,
Mhm.
why did you do it? And, questioning that and like it super supersedes
Uh-huh.
the guilt and the shame that
Mhm.
comes with there's no reason to not talk to somebody.
Mhm.
And
Are
there's
there
no go ahead.
Are there therapists there that they could find? Is there, like, a mental health component there that they're not gonna get, like, penalized?
Yeah, I mean, well, mm, then now we're setting off real alarms now. So I do think that that could be improved upon, of course, because, everything's documented and stuff. But like when you come, that's why we'll see a civilian person because usually it's not as, you know, maybe
That's
traumatizing. Like
true.
if you're right. So you're seeing someone that's not affiliated, but you're still getting coverage. Like if
Yeah.
um most of the time you can still yeah, you have to do like a yearly or every few years at the VA
Right.
with somebody that they approve, but 9 times out of 10 they'll let you see somebody that you choose, that you
Right.
feel comfortable, that's in your area so you're not having to drive 30 minutes to an hour to find
Right.
somebody. Or now we have virtual stuff.
Right.
So there's also that. There's no reason to not.
So, would you say I mean, as the clinicians, we know PTSD symptoms generally don't start until after,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
during we actually don't want, if you're still in the trauma, we actually don't want to like open the floodgates, right? Because that's what's
Mhm.
keep helping you keep yourself together and
Yes.
compartmentalizing, keeping you
Mhm.
safe. Um so would you say like is there help for people like let's say if you just needed to be like, "Oh my gosh, I had a really bad day today." Um do you use your peers mostly or are there clinicians in like the army? Like is that a job?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
they have LACs and
Okay.
LPCs
Okay.
and, all of the things. It's just finding one that you feel comfortable with. And
Okay.
and sometimes we're so tired of fighting our inner battle that we don't want to fight the fight of finding someone that we connect with
Okay.
enough
Okay.
to
Yeah.
sometimes I think it's helpful to find somebody that doesn't really
Mhm.
have an attachment to it. Um but then maybe has, like, family that has experience or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, but again, it's like everyone's different. Everyone can, um I don't know where I was going with that thing too, but, like, everyone has, like, that person that they connect with, and I think there's so many therapists, and there are opportunities at the VA, but also the VA works with outside
No,
companies as
no, I
well.
mean, like, when you're at combat.
Oh, yes. So, well, that's a whole thing as well, because I think most people don't want to be you have the people that want to be sent home
Yes.
for this, and then
I've
you
seen
have people
MASH, so I know all
yeah,
about that. No, I'm
and
kidding.
then people that don't wanna
Yeah.
be seen. I know there was, like, a couple of incidents at the combat hospital that people were struggling and went to see, and it's not that the it's just very hard when you're in theater because, like you said, you don't wanna unleash the floodgates because that
Mhm.
could go either way, and
Mhm.
we're armed,
Mhm.
and sometimes it can lead to
Mhm.
using
Mhm.
that and you're not really seeing clearly,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
Or other means on yourself, other people. But they do have small units in
Okay.
theater um, for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Not always the best option, but it is.
A little Band-Aid until
Mhm.
we get home. Okay.
And if it's bad enough, I mean, they do send them back home.
I
Sometimes it
yeah.
takes a while to be.
Yeah. No, but do you know what I'm talking about in MASH with that?
Mhm.
Okay. I know you're younger than me, but I mean, even I'm not as old as when MASH came out, but, um, so last question, self-care. We love this question. What do
Mhm.
you do, for self-care, especially after, like, maybe a week that was heavier than others? And then, being a mom, a wife, and, all the things. What do you do? What helps you unwind?
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, when I was younger, I used to like run, run until all the thoughts were away, or at least I was like tired enough.
Mm.
I love
Run
going
until the thoughts
outside.
are away. Man.
Yeah. It's a
I
long
was
run
I would be
sometimes,
like
but
Forrest Gump because my thoughts
yeah,
would never go
yes.
away.
Now I'm older, my knees are a little more, you know, uh messed up, but I love to walk my dogs. Sometimes it is like finding things that again, I'm so far from it. Like I'd always love to like we'll say go to a shooting range or something like that. That's like an enjoyment piece of it that's
Yeah.
not triggering.
Yeah.
It can be triggering for some, but it's like
Right.
reading a book,
Yeah.
I won't watch the news.
Yeah.
I know what triggers me and what
Yeah.
doesn't. I mean, I'll read an article, but I won't watch the actual news because that's enticing, like the emotions, the over
Mhm.
emotions,
It's
and
made
it's
to
reminding yourself.
entice, to, like,
Yeah,
rage bait,
and
right? Yeah.
yeah, and I think self care, you have to check in with yourself, like what is going what is my purpose of the self-care, right? Like,
Mhm.
because there's different types too,
Correct.
there's real rest and
Like a really
restoration and
good massage that you feel like
yeah,
were you there when we
facials.
talked about it's not a good massage unless you felt like you've been assaulted. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
what is that
no,
like?
for
Yeah.
sure. Like I love some
Yeah.
deep pressure
Yeah.
massages. um or like warm, I have like a warm like a heating pad and
Oh,
then just put on a
good.
huge blanket and
Yeah.
I think yeah, just or take an Epsom salt bath or magnesium bath,
Yes.
that can help too.
Good.
Um or go away on a trip
Like to
like I just did.
Charleston. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you for taking time out to talk to us. And now I'm all paranoid about tomorrow. I'm kidding. But truly, 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 I'm just saying thank you for being you and all that you've done. And I'm so glad you're part of Aurora. Um, and you've already touched so many people here. So thank you for that.
Thank you for having me.
Before we go, Aurora Healing Crew, take a deep breath like you're soaking in sunlight. Warm, steady, grounding. As you move through your day, check in with your gut. Notice how you feel around others. Your energy is precious. Protect it so you have the strength and light to do what really matters to you. Because life is hard, and we're getting through it together. Thank you for listening to the Aurora Sessions Beyond the Couch. Visit our website at aurorasuncounseling.com to learn more. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Just search Aurora Sun Counseling. Got questions or topics you'd love to hear us cover? Email us at info@aurorasuncounseling.com or drop a comment. We'd love to hear from you.